So yesterday, for fun, inspired by Stian's video on how he could use API calls, the make API request in Tana to get a weather forecast, I decided it would be fun to play around with the API information, some AI fields, and then also generating an image with DALL-E. Let me show you some fun here, okay? So I've created a command called get weather forecast. And I'm going to just run it here and let you watch what happens as we do. So get weather forecast opens up my super tag here. It's called weather. Right now it's filling a forecast description. Forecast description is calling upon an API, and it's going to give me a weather report for Morgantown, West Virginia for today. When that's done, the rest of these AI fields are going to complete based on that. And as soon as that's finished, it's generating what I'm calling a fancy forecast. The fancy forecast is actually a prompt that is then sent to DALL-E, which is going to generate an image of what this weather might look like in West Virginia. We are not having heavy snow today. You can see 22%. Snow is really unusual in May, by the way. And here we are. We've generated an image of, and this actually looks really, really cool. Let me open it in a new tab just for the sake of seeing it here so you can see the image itself. This is the image generated by DALL-E. That's pretty daggone close to what West Virginia would look like if it had that much snow on the ground. I can tell you there are still leaves on the tree and all of that out there. But I thought this was a really fun little demo, kind of a fun way of looking at this idea. So it generated a forecast, which normally I leave that field hidden because I really only want to see the conditions and the forecast in prompt version here. You can see one place here where the AI decided to give me a sentence instead of just 32. That's the fun. I really insist that it just give me the number, but it gave me the sentence. So it gives me this paragraph format and all of that. Let me run it one more time just for the fun of watching it run. And it'll just be for the same day, of course. And then I'll take you behind the scenes to see what's going on. So again, the forecast description is filling, but since it's a hidden field, you don't see that. Once it's done, all these AI fields will populate. Hopefully the low temperature doesn't give me more than just the number this time. We'll see. So we're waiting for forecast description to finish. It's spinning away back there, and now it's done. And here come the others, and yes, low worked fine this time. Current conditions happening. Now the fancy forecast, which is actually a prompt for the image, is going in the background, and you can see that's done because here comes our weather image. Is working away over here. Now the image is being generated. This is just too much fun. I don't know of any use for this, except it's really great practice for how to use that AI. And this is another image that, while again, it's way too snowy for what the actual conditions are outside, is a superb West Virginia imitation. This looks a lot like West Virginia would look. So it's really fun with DALL-E. I wouldn't use this for anything necessarily in particular. I don't actually need a generated image. If I could feed it an image, and maybe I can, I don't know. I had somebody suggest to me when I was talking about this, take a picture out in my front yard and then submit that image and tell it to modify it with the weather forecast. Now that's pretty funny. That would be really cool to do. But here's what's happening in the background. So let's take a look at that get weather command. So the weather forecast. Okay. So I'll open it up here. What's going on? First, I add the tag of weather. That's fairly straightforward. Then I make an API request. I'm using an API here. I'll make sure when I edit the video, I block out my API key. But it's probably my actual location as well. It's using my API key and my location to determine the forecast. And then I have a prompt that says, using the JSON below, write a detailed weather forecast for today. Be sure to include the high and low temperatures. Tell it everything I need it to include. Start it with here's today's forecast, so it doesn't say based on the JSON data, and go from there. And then it puts that into the forecast description field. Okay? And then once it's in forecast description, all of these AI fields are going to run based on that. So all of the AI fields, I'll open this configuration on the side, all of these AI fields have their own individual prompts in them. So like current conditions says, read this test forecast description, question, what are the current conditions, including temperature, precipitation, blah, blah, blah. Respond with only the answer. Here we have high in Fahrenheit. Read this question, what is the high temperature for today? Round to the nearest whole number. Respond with only the answer as a whole number only. So the same thing in the low temperature. What's the low temperature for today? And so each of these just has their own prompt. Oops, sorry. Each of these has their own prompt. And so they can just run straight in a row because they're the AI field. Once they have once the information is there in forecast description, AI fields just run, and it fills all of them. The fancy forecast is a fun one. It's essentially a prompt for a prompt. Say, read the weather forecast for today, and the task is create a prompt that will be used to generate an image using DALL-E. The prompt should be describe an outdoor landscape scene in West Virginia that fits with the weather forecast. Be specific, detailed, and very descriptive. Okay, that's what I tell it to do. And then it goes into the generate image with DALL-E, which is the prompt is the fancy forecast, and the target node is the weather image. And so it sends a prompt, and it gets the image back. That's all that's happening here. It's nothing like crazy elaborate, but it is really fun, like how to parse the API stuff using the GPT to do that. It's just really fun, I think, to see how that functions. I'll run it on one try, just one more time for fun. So we watch our forecast description is happening here. As soon as it's done, all of these AI fields will run based on it because the command is next in sequence. It's not actually waiting for forecast description to be done. It's just it hasn't received the command yet to run the AI fields. You can see it did all of it now. So it did that, and now it's creating the fancy forecast. Well, it was creating it the whole time because it's one of the AI fields. And then the next command is to generate the weather image, and it is doing that. And we'll wait for this image because it'll be the last of the version of it. So I don't really expect anybody to use this exact thing, but I will tell you, oh, that's beautiful. That really does look like a West Virginia scene. Have a look at this thing. Oh, this is too fun. Yeah, I mean, that's that 100% could be a picture of just, something that would be 5 miles down the road from me. I live in a more suburban area here, and not that there's anything urban to be sub to, but it's, city-ish. I live in a college town, but, don't have to go very far out till I could go on a scene just about like this. That's very fun. Regardless, the idea behind this is there are several things in here that are worth noting: how to do the API call, how to generate an image with DALL-E, how to use the AI fields to populate automatically from some other information. It's actually, while not necessarily itself super duper useful, it's something that I think illustrates a few things. So I hope you enjoy it and get some value out of watching.